Sometimes we overthink everything, and that leads to procrastination, to stopping, to we just don't get it done. You need to overcome your own worst habits so you can start writing. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Hi, I'm Dan Janal. I've written more than a dozen books, including Write Your Book in a Flash. I'm a ghostwriter, book coach, and developmental editor. I work with business professionals and healthcare professionals to help them write their books. Now, let's get started. Our guest today is Mary Kelly. She's one of the top speakers in the world, one of the top economists in the world, and she's written more than a dozen books. So she certainly knows how to start writing, but she also knows why we stop and what hurts us and why we don't get our books done. So welcome, Mary. How can we stop thinking and start writing?
Dan, I love this because you've written and ghostwritten so many books that I think when some people are so good at it like you are, it might be frustrating when you hear people say, Dan, I just can't seem to get it done. So a couple things. First, I have been that person who has gone to you and said, Dan, I just can't seem to get it done. And this is why if I'm ever going to write a book, I have Dan's book called Write Your Book in a Flash open on, here's how I do it. I have it on one computer open. And as I'm looking at his book on my computer, I am doing the steps on another computer. That is my number one thing I tell all new authors is if you are thinking about writing a book, you get Dan's book, Write Your Book in a Flash. I know this sounds like a total commercial, but I started writing books before I met Dan, and they went very slowly and not well. So I have done it the hard way, and I have done it Dan's way, and Dan's way is better. So I have it open. I read the book. I will skim the book again, and then I open it to the things I'm working on, and I work through it that way. Because most people, we have a lot of things going on in our head. And if you are like me and you've ever been diagnosed with ADD, ADHD, or what I call excessive squirrels, you've been stuck in that place where you simply can't seem to sit down and get the book done. So I want to give you a few tips. The first, open one computer with Dan's book on it, so that you've got a little guidance. It's encouraging, it's motivational, but it also helps you push things forward. The second thing I do is I carve out time in the day. If I want to get things done, I have to put it on the calendar. Again, you're never going to feel like it. You're never going to say, oh, I'll write my book when I feel like it. You might write your book out of desperation because you have a book deadline due. But if you ever feel like, oh, I need 40 hours straight to write my book, it's probably never going to happen. Now, I do know sometimes in my life, I've had the luxury of having nobody around me. The house is all mine. And I put my hair in a ponytail. I put on a sweatshirt, sweatpants. I look really ugly. And I just sit and write for hours and hours at a time. I will also tell you that is rare. So what I need to do now is I need to schedule my writing time. And I have to schedule my writing time with a goal. So I can't just sit down with a blank piece of paper and go, okay, Mary, crank out a book. No. I have to know where I'm going with whatever I'm supposed to be writing. So when I finish the last writing, I say, okay, I prompt myself. I go, okay, if I had time to keep going today, I would go down this path, or this path. Because what a lot of us struggle with is getting that focus back once we've had that head of steam. So whenever you get that head of steam and you're going pretty well, and then you have to stop because you have to go do something else, give yourself the direction on where you're going to go next. Okay, if I'm going to pick this up, I'm going to do this, this, this. What I'm fond of doing also is going in and saying, okay, I think my people right now are struggling with procrastination. So if I was to write a book on procrastination, what would work for me on procrastination? And then I ask my friends. So if you're not sure, and this is my next tip, if you're not sure where to go with your book writing project, crowdsource it. For my Stop the Procrastination book, I did not want to go out and get testimonials before publishing the book. It takes forever, as you know. So what I did is I went on Facebook and I said, hey friends, tell me why, if you could just overcome procrastination like that, tell me what the benefits would be if you could stop procrastinating right now. And I took a bunch of responses, and that's what I put in the beginning of the book. And I have to tell you, it was really, really motivating because people said, because if you procrastinate, then this happens. When I don't procrastinate, here's the positive benefits. This is why you do this. They gave me the whys. I crowdsourced it. So then I took all those people's names and their quotes, and I went back and said, hey, Dan, just want to let you know. And I told people I was going to use their information. I cleaned up some of them. I said, hey, Dan, just want to let you know I featured you in my book. Okay, so people felt like, wow, that was cool. Mary really listened to us, but it also helped me crowdsource what people were thinking, which gave me the direction for the book. Does that make sense?
Perfect.
Another technique that I love was several years ago, I got to be editor of a national magazine, and Dan was helpful on this. And I got to interview a guy named Stephen Pressfield. So Pressfield wrote books you know of, you just don't always associate his name to this. So Sun Tzu wrote The Art of War. He wrote The War of Art. He wrote Last of the Amazons. He wrote The Gates of Fire that the movie The 500 is based on. He wrote The Legend of Bagger Vance. And I asked him, because he was a Marine, and so I felt comfortable asking the question. I said, how do you manage to be so prolific? How do you manage to get the muse going? And he says, Mary, I get asked that all the time. And I will tell you, the muse strikes when I put my butt in the chair every morning at 9 a.m. And I thought that was really good for two reasons. First, he schedules it, and he doesn't give himself the option of doing something else. So he doesn't give himself the option of, oh, maybe I'll do laundry. Maybe I'll wash the dishes. Maybe I'll go for a walk. No, it's work time. And if your book is serious for you and you're trying to get it done, it's work time. This is not a hobby. This is something you do. Writers write. Authors write. You have something to say. It's time to say it. And people need to hear your message. So what he says is every morning at 9 a.m., that is when the muse magically strikes. Now, I'm on the road a lot, which means I don't have a set time every single day. So my muse magically strikes at 10,000 feet when I'm on a plane. As soon as you're at 10,000 feet, I can feel the cabin pressure change even before the ding dings come on and they say, we're now at 10,000 feet. You're now welcome to use your electronic devices to include your laptops. That thing is open and in my lap. And what I do, the technique I use is anything I'm working on stays open on my desktop. That becomes a little, so right now I've got about 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, about 15 things that are just open. They're just documents sitting on my desktop. So when I go to write, I have options of things to write. So let's say I'm feeling like a leadership article. Okay, I can finish that in. And when I name my articles, this is how I stay organized. What I do is I will save it as MK working. So I know I've still got some places to go in that particular article. And then once the article is finished, I say MK4 and I put my assistant's name into it. So I know as soon as I land, I can send her that article and it takes it off my desktop. It's like crossing things off a list. Ooh, we get that little burst of happy hormone when we can cross things off a list. So that gets it off my desktop, gives me some motivation to clean up my desktop and move on to the next one. If I'm working on a book, what I do is I highlight the last section I just stopped at so that I know exactly where I finished. And then I go back and I can pick that up right away. So I don't give myself the option of, oh, I need my big, in the old days, I had a big binder and I would print it out and I would go through with a pen. That still works for my final copy, but not for my working copies. So now I can pick up where I left off. Or maybe I'm like, oh yeah, the reason I stopped last time was I needed more research on this. I always have a writing project in the works. So I have no excuses to not write at 10,000 feet. That's my other trick. So schedule it, have a time. But once your body gets into the habit of writing, and Dan, I think you probably do this too. At 10,000 feet, my body knows that's my time to write. So I don't have to think too hard about doing it. When you take away the thinking and start the doing, see, that's better. When I was teaching back at the Naval Academy, I thought I really have to exercise. So I joined a master's swim program. Master's swim does not, by the way, mean you're a good swimmer. It means you're just old and they let you into the pool. So they would let us in at 5 o'clock in the morning because nobody else was in the pool. And I have to tell you, if you wake up in the morning at 4:30 and say, oh, am I going to go to the pool today? You're going to say no every single time. And until I got in the habit of going, that's not even a decision, I would make the decision the night before. I would put my swimsuit on the night before and I would sleep in it. So that when the alarm went off at 4:30, all I had to do was pull on sweatpants, pull on a sweatshirt, throw on shoes, grab the keys, and drive to the pool. Because the decision was made. If you give yourself the option to say no, you're going to say no. So don't give yourself the option. Make the decision the day before, the time before, and do not give yourself the option to say no. So I'd love your thoughts on some of these tricks, and I'll throw up some more if you want some more.
Well, I love the idea of scheduling that's it's like I do Pilates 4 days a week. And sometimes I can't go or the class is canceled or something comes up. So I have that free time. I said, oh, I can go to the gym instead. I don't. Why? Because it's not that group. And I think that group helps you get through it. And scheduling gets you through it. So I love those ideas. Can you share a few more ideas with us?
So let's say you're working on a book. If you're working on a book right now, can I just see your hands? That would be great. I would just love it. Or you're thinking about writing a book, or you got something to say. Okay, great. So here's a good one. What you do is you get with somebody like Dan or Penny or Pat or Jeff or Patrice or Andrea. And what you do is you say, Penny, I'm going to give you the rough draft of chapter 2 by Friday afternoon. And Penny says, okay. I have blocked off. Now here's the magic. I have blocked off time on Friday at 5:00 to look at your chapter 2. Now, guess what? You've now taken somebody else's time and you can't disappoint Penny. So now it's Wednesday. You owe her a chapter by Friday at 5:00. Guess what magically happens? You get it done, even if it takes all night. Even if you're like, oh, I didn't want to do that. And you're so tempted to call Penny and go, Penny, I'm not going to actually get it done by now. And you know what, Penny, your job is to go, you know what? Then it's going to cost you $50 or something. I have a deal with some of my friends. I'm like, if I don't get this chapter back to you, I have to buy dinner or whatever. Like, make it painful, make it a little bit painful. Make it not like, oh, I'll buy you coffee. No, $50. I want it cash. I want it Venmo'd right now. And all of a sudden it becomes a thing. And no fair to be, sending the money back and forth with your other stuff. No. But have an accountability partner where you just do a chapter at a time, not the whole book. Nobody wants to see your whole book at a time, but do a chapter. Do a chapter. Now, if you've got a writing coach, this works great because you're paying your writing coach. And you know what? They can hold you accountable. I love a writing coach. I love a group. The problem with a group is it's not painful enough if you don't do it. Everybody's so supportive. Oh, that's okay. You'll get there. No. Get it done. Get it done. You owe it to me Friday at 5:00 because I've blocked off time in my busy calendar. And if you don't get it to me, it's disrespectful to me. So you won't let those people down. So I love that idea. The other thing I love, and some of my friends, they say, well, I don't feel like I know enough about the topic. Okay. So then they start researching, and then that becomes like a year later. Sound familiar? Mm-hmm. So you give yourself parameters. You say, you know what? I will give myself till next Monday to research. And then I'm going to write. And then if there's things I need to fill in later, you put, I need new statistics here. I do this all the time and I highlight that area and I can fill that in later. But don't let your lack of facts or knowledge stop you from getting the actual writing done. Because let's face it, the facts are out there. If people just wanted you to spew facts, anybody can spew facts. I know I do it all the time. I'm an economist. 66.1% of Americans in the United States right now own their own homes. Of those 66.1%, it represents 65% of their overall wealth. This is only not true in 3 states, and that's Hawaii, California, and New York, where that number is between 52 and 54%. I can spew facts all day long, and you know what? You don't care. What you're going to remember is me trying to figure out if I'm going to go swimming the next morning. That's what people hang on to. They hang on to the stories, the things that relate you to them, the things that resonate with them. If you're writing a book on procrastination and you say, well, I'm writing this for all you losers out there who can't seem to get things done because I'm super productive. Well, now you're kind of a jerk. But if you go, look, I procrastinate just like everybody else. I have to struggle every single day like everybody else. And, I'm sitting in a hotel room and there's a bed sitting right over there going, just come over here, lie on the bed, don't move. It's not risky that way. It's tempting for all of us. We're all tempted. So we are all in the struggle together. And that is where the magic happens. It's how you are transforming people's lives by helping them resonate with you, giving them the message they need to hear, and then giving it to them in a way that sticks with them, that matters. And that's what you're doing. So as writers, we write.
Perfect. That's a great way to end this this segment of our podcast. And what a beautiful way to show how you are a motivational, inspirational speaker, speaking literally around the world, one of the top speakers of all time. So you're in the National Speakers Hall of Fame. You're in the Colorado Authors Hall of Fame as well. So congratulations on those awards. Mary, how can people get in touch with you? And I know you have a number of free resources for people, so to help them to stop thinking and start writing.
It's productiveleaders.com/free. So for the organizational things that I discussed here, it's /free, productiveleaders.com/free. It's going to pop up as free-resources. And in there, it's my planner. It's my productivity sheet. It is, for some people, they need a focus. There's my 5-minute focus plan that's in there. There's a few other of the 5-minute plans. The 5-minute plans are designed to help you get going in the right direction right now, 5 minutes. And that's all there. It's all free, no weird sign in, no anything. Just go get it and start doing it.
Thank you, Mary, and thanks everyone for listening. You can find more than 200 other podcasts on this YouTube channel to help you write your book in a flash.